discovered my wife cheated on me with more than 5 guys, and came home with HIV. I gave her another chance, but she got caught by her own stupidity and karma has been served. So to start, without spilling my guts on here, because there's a lot that's happened to make this decision. As of a month ago, I got divorced after repeatedly being cheated on by my wife, both virtually and in person. We were together for a total of 7 years, married for barely a year. During this relationship, my self-esteem has plummeted. What brought me to this decision is that I don't really have much experience sexually or dating. I've only ever dated 2 people and slept with. After my recent divorce and how low they brought me, I feel like I can't trust another person. I'm going to therapy at the moment, have been since this all started over the summer when I found out that she was initially cheating on me and wanted to try and fix our marriage. During the last 2 years of our marriage, I wasn't able to sleep in my bed. I work overnights and snore a lot, so she made me sleep on the couch. When we did have intimacy, I could never get into it mentally and had trouble climaxing. So she would get mad at me sometimes, even yell at me about it. Other times, when I would try and get into it and feel her up, she would get mad and say how I should know she has body issues and can't touch her, i.e. hands around her waist or grabbing her chest. I was compared to other guys fairly often and told that other men would be more appreciative of a woman who would have sex with him as much as she wants. That led to conversations of ending the relationship, but we both said we loved each other too much to leave. Now to come to the summer, she goes to get tested for STDs, didn't think anything of it, until she came out and said that she came back positive on the quick test for HIV. That's when everything came out and I found out about her other partners and what she was doing when I was at work. Agreed to see a therapist and work it out. Come to a little over a month ago, and she admits to me that she was lying about not still seeing other people and was lying during the therapy too. Now that the divorce is over, she is dating one of the guys she cheated on me, and I feel like I can't be in a relationship. In conclusion, is it okay for me to not want to date or try and have another relationship to my early to mid-30s? Right now, I'm just kind of doing me, going to work and trying to make friends since I didn't really have any before this marriage ended. Part of me feels like even if the one came along now or in the next few years, I would easily turn them down. A few of my coworkers have been trying to push for me to try and date, even with helping me get started again, but I kind of shut down and reject the idea right now. I don't want to be hurt like I was and just be with my cat doing things I want or trying to figure out who I am now. Alright, let's go to the update. Well, I'm back here again, but with some better news this time. First, a recap. I around May or June of this year posted my wife coming to me and telling me about 5 affairs she had had. The reason she told me was because she wanted to get tested for STDs and had to tell me her quick test came back positive for HIV. We tried to make it work because she seemed very remorseful for what she did. So we went to therapy. During this time, I tried really hard to trust her again. That never happened and turned out she was still sexting people behind my back. Even some people we met not even 2 weeks before we finally got a divorce. Now for the update. As of November, our marriage was officially dissolved. But after everything has been finished, was a clean divorce, I still feel broken. I hardly can go in my bedroom anymore and have been diagnosed with major depression. I don't feel I can ever trust anyone again, and even after I went and got tested for HIV and came back negative, I'm still really worried that I can have it since we did have unprotected sex a fair amount close to before she tested positive. I honestly feel like I am not worth being loved. I just started to take medication for my depression and I'm going to therapy, but I still feel helpless. Does this ever get better? How can you start to trust after such a betrayal? Alright, let's see some top comments. Redo the bedroom. Seriously, redo it. Paint the walls. Change the carpet if you have to. No carpet? Get a soft one and lay it down over the wood. New photos on the wall. Switch it up. Anything else that is on them as well. Rearrange your dressers and tables and such. Maybe even go Savers or something and get new ones or paint the ones you have now. Change the curtains. Switch the shades. Get coverage for the light switches so they look different or cute. The biggest one is the bed. Get a new one if you can. If you can't afford a whole new bed, then try to get a new headboard at least. Toss out the pillows, sheets, and blankets and get new ones. Make it your bed, not the one you used to share with her. Change the room completely until you recognize nothing from the old one. Not having to see the bedroom you share with her day after day will help you immensely. It's going to be okay. That's the mantra you need to keep repeating to yourself. You are going through a tremendous amount of emotional trauma. You're still processing, and probably a shock was so huge that you disassociated just to be functional on your day-to-day. If you're going to therapy, make sure you ask your therapist to test you for PTSD or to refer you to a specialist in trauma, because that's likely what you're experiencing from what you wrote. It's going to take some time, and once things calm down, it's going to hit you real hard. Because once the depression lifts, you're going to be very, very, very angry. That is a good thing, because that means your sense of self-worth is returning. Also, once things calm down, the whole thing will hit you real hard. How someone who you married would not only betray you in such a way, but expose you to a horrific disease, which she doesn't seem to be taking seriously if she's still sexting around. It seems your ex-wife has some serious issues. Yes, things are going to be better, but right now, by the simple fact that you're no longer married to such an awful person, is enough to be better. Even if I'm sure you don't see it that way, just heal and work on yourself. And don't start a relationship until you're healed. Reach out to friends and family and find activities that engage you with others. You're still young, and you have most of your life ahead of you. You're going to be okay. In a few years, this will be a story you will laugh at. And the person you married will be at the bottom of a really funny joke. The important thing is that you don't have HIV, which should have shown by then. Alright, let's go to the second cheating story. When is D-Day, really? Me, 37 male, and my wife, 37 female, have been married for 12 years, together for 16. We met in college. We have a 6-year-old. We've been saving since forever, and we bought our first house last year. Things have been rocky, but we've managed to have a long-lasting relationship. I don't even know what to call D-Day at this point. The truth is so muddled. Is it the first time I found out something was going on months ago? Is it last week? Last night? Or maybe it's today. Maybe D-Day was last year. It started the way these things always start. My wife was up late on her phone texting someone. Maybe it was family. Maybe it was friends. But it felt off. She had been very protective and secretive of her phone, but I had an opportunity and I took it while she was in the shower. She had been flirting semi-brazenly with her coworker, Jack Harkness. I don't know how else to describe it. You could tell it was a new friendship, but she was being bold. Much bolder than I'm used to from her. And a little sexual. I confronted her about it. She said she didn't think she did anything wrong. It was just a coworker. She was mad at me for snooping. A week later, as she's getting ready in the morning, she leaves her phone on the back at 5 in the morning. I don't want to wake up my son, so I don't confront her. I suck at confrontation anyways. I talked to my therapist about it that afternoon. He says I need to confront her about it and ask her what's going on. Ask her to see her phone. And I do. She gets home. I ask her to see her phone. She says no. She has a right to privacy. I ask her if she's been talking to him. She says he's messaged her maybe 2 or 3 times. I insist on seeing it. She tells me I'm imagining things and I need to get help to get over this. I tell her that's fine. I will seek help for this after I see her phone. Finally, she relents. 2 or 3 times is 50 to 100 messages over the last 2 weeks. But they seem innocuous enough. But still, she lied about them. We go to counseling again. We had gone previously when our child was first born for about 6 months. Our counselor laid out a plan for reconciliation, but required her to cut communication with him and a commitment to take divorce off the table from me. My wife says she doesn't like our counselor anymore. We never go back again. Maybe D-Day was last week. My wife is texting all morning with her friends. I see her pin to unlock her phone. At this point, I'm still suspicious and it's eating me up. I get 30 seconds of time where she leaves her phone out of sight and I unlock it. Just enough time to see she's texting him again. But the name has been changed. Now it's Harkness J. I don't get a chance to see the messages. I talk to her. I ask her if she's still talking with Jack. She is, she says. But there's nothing there. He's just a friend and I never asked her not to talk to him. She said she needed to talk to him because they work together. I don't ask to see the text messages. She has an offer. At this point, does it matter? Would it help? Maybe D-Day was last night. All day yesterday, she was in a mood. Upset. Anxious. Avoiding me. Last night, while she was asleep, I take her phone from the nightstand. My heart is racing. What if she wakes up? Why am I snooping? What will I find? I feel shame and anxiety. I enter the PIN. Incorrect. Too few digits this time. Her new PIN is longer. Well, frick. At this point, I decide to sleep on the couch. She wakes up and comes downstairs. Asked me if everything's okay. I tell her I have a headache, which is true at this point, and I'm feeling nauseous. Also true. She asks me if I have a fever. If I have COVID. I assure her I don't. Just a sinus headache. She asks me to come up to bed and asks me to tell her what's wrong. I tell her I think she's having an affair. She says she would never do that. She asks if this is about that other guy. I ask her why she flirts with him. She says because it's fun. That's where it ends. My headache gets the best of me, and I tell her I want to sleep. I guess today is D-Day. I'm so tired, emotionally and physically. I'm tired of the leaky faucet of trickle truth. I'm tired of the cell phone nuclear football. I'm tired of being paranoid and knowing I'm always just half right and coming away feeling like a butthole. I don't know what to say when she gets home. I'm terrible at confrontation. I just want to end this nightmare. Alright, let's see some top comments. At the moment she's having her cake and eating it. She's got you at home to share living costs and chores, and him for excitement. You know that she's having an emotional affair, and sorry to say that affairs with coworkers are usually physical. She's been stepping out with him for a year. This can't continue. Prepare for an exit strategy and seek legal advice. This situation isn't going to sort itself out, and it's time for you to do some things which you will need to be strong to see through. Line up a support network, bolt holes for when it gets too bad, secure important documents and sentimentals where she can't get to them, and cancel anything which you have joint access to that could generate debt. Take the time you need to get proper plans in place, but don't procrastinate. Gather evidence, screenshot her phone, and share it with a fair partner's partner and their work. Prepare yourself mentally for this. After a year of EA, there will be things on that phone that, even though you know are bad, will be worse than you expect and will shake you to the core. Then separate and take some time to decide what you want to do based on your feelings and her actions. Don't be passive during this time though. Keep legal etc. moving and be seen to be serious. Update 1. I sat my wife down and explained to her that at this point, I'm ready to move on, and she told me that this thing with her coworker was nothing, and this is a ridiculous thing to want a divorce over. She offered to show me the text messages between them, and I accepted, but I was skeptical. It's so easy now to delete messages if they aren't actual SMS messages sent from the carrier, and these were not. The messages I saw were tame, but still not appropriate. She messaged him repeatedly. He floored relentlessly over innocuous things. At one point on Thanksgiving Day, she said, "The turkey's in the oven," and he replied, "That's so hot." Another time, a week ago, she texted him around bedtime saying that she was going to have another drink because it had been a long day for her, and he replied, "I am so turned on right now. I'm frustrated because I feel like I'm in a weird limbo right now." There's definitely proof of inappropriate behaviors there. She's been hiding this relationship, gaslighting me, but what I've seen isn't necessarily a smoking gun. The texts are inappropriate, but not conclusively sexual, and also don't make sense in context unless he's just a weird pervert. There was nothing explicit from her end, and she definitely wasn't flirting back, but also wasn't unreceptive to his advances. She begged me to reconsider, and I said no. She begged me again to reconsider, and again I said no. I was firm. She begged me a dozen times. She finally asked me for just 2 counseling sessions. At this point, I relented. I said fine, just a couple sessions. If I'm not convinced that we can make it work, I'm ending things though. Update 2. As I mentioned in my last post, my wife asked me to reconsider and go to marriage counseling. I agreed, but only because I needed to buy some time to think about what my next steps should be. I've been active on this sub, trying to be supportive of others while also sorting out my own thoughts. My wife has continued to pretend like nothing is really wrong. She's then very affectionate towards me, wanting to kiss and cuddle constantly. She's frustrated when I decline. When we argue about the issue and she asks if I think she's cheating on me and I said yes, she said she was insulted and she doesn't understand why I can't trust her. Because she lied, because she admitted to deleting some of their text messages, because she's treating the privacy of this friendship as something sacred. She cried and said that she didn't deserve to be treated like this. Since I didn't have any evidence of anything beyond an emotional affair, I felt I had to give my wife a chance to come clean and start towards reconciliation. I came up with 2 simple requirements for me to stay and work with the marriage counselor. 1. Cease contact with the affair partner. 2. Unlock her phone and allow me to view all messages between her and him. She initially agreed. Since then, she has walked back on both conditions. She's still texting with him, although she insists that it's friendly, but she's also not allowing me to view the messages or anything else on her phone. On Friday, I reached out to a divorce lawyer. I have a meeting scheduled for the end of the month. I was hoping to get an opportunity to gather evidence of something more than just flirty text messages. I live in an at-fault state, so that would be helpful for me during the separation. I'm debating discussing it with a affair partner's spouse. I don't have any proof to provide her that something inappropriate is happening between my wife and her husband. Just look, they're being inappropriate. But maybe that's worth telling her. I'm ready to move on. This marriage is a lost cause. 3. After my last update, all the feedback suggested that I needed to be more direct with my spouse about the situation. I've already contacted a lawyer. We're working on divorce paperwork now. In the meantime, I contacted the affair partner's spouse and shared the known truth and only the known truth with her. I wanted to allow her to draw her own conclusions, and I did not want to open myself up to a potential lawsuit from the affair partner for slander. The other spouse was wonderful. She took the news well and seriously. She was concerned about my situation and said she was nervous and unsure about how to approach this. She said she would speak to her husband, and I wished her well. Obviously, my wife found out and she was livid. She accused me of ruining their marriage, destroying her friendship, and threatening her job. After that, she told me that she doesn't even recognize me anymore and that she's seriously worried about my mental health right now. I've been very calm through this whole process. I have been practicing the divorce 180. I told her that I feel fine and I understand she's upset, but there's nothing more to talk about this. I did what I did and I can't change the past. Not that I want to. She's come home from work sobbing, saying that there are rumors going around at work. She blames me for that, even though I haven't discussed this with anyone at her job. If there are rumors, they're coming from the affair partner. She should be angry with him. She also told me that she spoke with the affair partner and that they're going to reconcile their marriage and be all right. She asked me to no longer speak to the spouse. Now that we're fully on board the divorce chain, she's become petty and vindictive. She calls me an a-hole. She's called me lazy, apathetic, and a liar. She tells me she's the only one who really cared in the marriage and that she feels like I'm a monster for breaking up a affair partner's marriage, which contradicts her earlier claim. At this point, the affair partner's spouse had sent me one final note. If I had seen what you saw, I would have told you as well. You don't need to apologize for anything. I've decided to save these messages to provide to my divorce lawyer. All in all, I feel like I'm handling this really well. She's really showing her true colors and making this so much easier for me. But the divorce process will likely be very rough. She's trying to manipulate me and gaslight me. She's trying to paint me as a horrible person, and now I'm responding with patience and perspicacity. And that's really deflating her ego balloon. The more she does this, the better I feel about pursuing a divorce. All the energy I spend towards trying to make her happy by doing the impossible is instead going towards my relationship with my son, which has grown by leaps and bounds.
I'm tired mentally.
I'm completely exhausted by all of the lies and denials. I'm not looking forward to a holiday season spent with a bitter spouse, but this too shall pass. Final update. Here are the basics. 37 male and 37 female. Married for 12 years, together for 16. We have one child who was 6 years old. We bought a house 2 years ago. Stupidly, I took out money from my 401k to pay for the down payment. We both work. We're both professionals in our fields. We both get paid good money. We have almost no savings, just what I can scroll away. I pay all the bills. Rent, utilities, car insurance, 529 plan. Wife pays for groceries and health insurance. Right now, we're kind of in limbo. Due to everything, I guess. We're waiting until the holidays are over to change the living situation. I'm doing better by the day. My wife is not. She's frequently tried to ask me to reconsider the divorce while frequently telling me it's my fault. That's been the hardest part. Between trying to stay firm about my decision and her blaming me, it's been really difficult. I don't have much of a social circle right now. I am seeing a therapist. I would like the process to be as painless as possible. I know that's a relative term. I think I can afford the house on my own, but money would be tight. I've considered selling, but there's some costly repairs that would need to be done in a short term to make the place ready to sell. New roof is a big one. It's a 20-year roof, and it's 20 years old. My wife wants to consider a cohabitation divorce where we are legally separated, possibly divorced or not, but living together to raise our son and our house. I'm not thrilled about this. All right, let's see some top comments. I think the suffering, what has happened and what you're going through, is very great. Being in limbo, it is cruel. As advice, I would tell you that you will talk to the fair partner's wife. Maybe she has more information than you, or she can check the fair partner's phone number without deleting the messages. The other important thing, try to be totally indifferent with your wife. Change your room and dedicate yourself only to your son. Go out with him. Enjoy with him. Do not sit down to talk with her. If she asks you, tell her that if she is not going to do 100%, honestly, it is not worth talking about. Tell her that you will have given her the opportunity for that, and if she loved you as you love her, this would not be happening. Tell her to continue with her life, and she will not have to hide as she does now. Tell her that the only thing you wanted with her was to be immensely happy. It hurts that she did not want it. A hug, brother, and everything goes super well for you. You're a good man and an excellent father. I know you will find someone who will make you immensely happy. It may have only been an emotional affair, but you'll never know. The fair partner's wife can dig a confession out of her husband and get evidence that would be helpful in divorce since you're in an at-fault state. Might be worth it to see if there's anything she can get her hands on since guys are worse at covering things up than women are. He most likely has photos or videos if they ever got physical on the phone. Either way, it can't hurt to ask. If she does get a confession out of him, you can talk to your lawyer about using him as a witness. I don't think you can use the fair partner's wife as that would be here to say. For the lawyer, ask about costs and see if you can cut the deal if the divorce is uncontested for a fixed rate. Also, ask about charging. Do they charge in 15-minute chunks or 5 minutes? Realize that every time you call the lawyer after you hire him, you are paying, and you need to know how long you can talk without going over the minimum, and then you can talk up to the minimum to maximize his advice. You'll even pay every time you talk to his assistant at a reduced rate, so be aware of that. Also, ask about the time frames and how the process usually works. The courts usually make actually getting a decision from the judge very difficult and try to force you into mediation, so ask about that and see if there's a way you can cut costs by doing things yourself. Good luck.